let's get right into the rules and kind of what's going on and what NFHS changed. So we're basically going to go through all the rules relatively quickly, and I'm going to kind of read these, but we're going to talk through a lot of them a little more in depth in a little bit. So in a change to Rule 422-1, officials will no longer wait for defensive players to position themselves more than 5 yards away from the player in possession of the ball when restarting play. Basically, no one can be within 5 yards, and if they are, it's going to be a penalty. And this is essentially, we're going to be doing the exact same thing as the college rule. And so if a defenseman is within that 5 yard bubble, if he does not play the player or basically gives that player a complete line to the goal, he won't get an infraction. If he does play the player, he will get an infraction, and that will be a 30-second penalty. Now, this also works from the offensive end. You can't have two offensive players standing with as the ball is being restarted, because you could basically do hidden ball tricks. Essentially, players have to know where the ball is to start a play, and that's essentially the rule. So the next rule that we're going to go over is basically a mandatory equipment rule. Essentially, Noxie's come up with a new standard, the ND 200 standard, where now everyone's going to have lacrosse-specific pads. I know a ton of kids who wear hockey pads. This one is going to come into effect in the January of 2021, and then chest protectors will be mandated in 2022. And I get it, but I still don't think that anyone's going to not play strictly because they don't have the right kind of shoulder pads. I don't think refs check all that much. Now, let's see. Next one, we've got the health and safety. Okay, nope, not that. So, next one. Any violation of an illegal cross is now going to be a 2-minute non-releasable penalty. There's no more 1 minute for a deep pocket and 3 minutes for an illegal shape of the stick, essentially. But so it's basically going to bring everything illegal stick-wise to one simple rule, which I like a lot. Also, according to the U.S. Lacrosse magazine, they're saying that you will also be able to alter your stick again and use the same stick. So it won't be the situation back where basically the stick would have to sit in the box for the entire game. You're going to have the ability to change it. Okay, next one. The chief bench officials' responsibilities in Rule 2-7-2. Basically, they're no longer responsible for penalizing the team with too few players on the field. However, delayed substitutions when a player gains an advantage by delaying entry onto the field is still going to fall under the CBO's duties. So I guess he's no longer responsible for penalizing the team with too few players. I don't know if that means there's no more penalty for too few players and gaining an advantage, but that's just what it sounds like. So then they eliminated 3 definitions of play the ball, which is Rule 4-5. Basically, ball in flight, team possession, and completed pass were deemed no longer needed. So that's basically just simplification of the rules. Then you have changes to 6-1-1 and 6-2-1 that focus on streamlining changes made to the slow whistle technique in Rule 7-8-2 over the past 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure that this has to do with facing off, but I'm not positive. If anyone can check me on that, that would be appreciated. Finally, Rule 4-24 clarifies that a timeout for a player with symptoms consistent with a concussion is an official's timeout, not a team timeout. That one I like because if a kid gets a concussion, it shouldn't penalize either team. Other than a kid if he hit him in the head. Obviously, that's going to be a penalty. If you hit a kid head-to-head, you're most likely going to get a penalty. For the most part, it should be locked in. Also, if you have the ball and duck your head and hit a kid and he gets a concussion, you should also be penalized. Okay, so now, as we're done with this, I want to talk a little more in depth on a couple of these rules. The first one and the most exciting one for me is definitely the illegal stick penalty, because it allows players to fix their sticks and then get back in the game. It's also a lot more simple for parents to understand. one of my problems with changing the rules every year is that parents get kind of left behind because refs and coaches usually tend to work out new rules in the fall, but if parents aren't kind of brought along, they might not kind of understand. So now the next one that I'm really excited about is this basically quick whistle rule. So many of our players were excited to play by quick whistle rules because they were watching the college game, and so they'd pick up the ball, they'd be ready to go, and the ref wouldn't blow the whistle, and it was very frustrating for them because they'd been watching games where that was the case, and so the ref would slow them down. You know, high school kids, they'd get all pissy, and so now this will be better because it will look like the college game that they're seeing. You know, no dive, none of that crap, but at least it'll be a quick game. And so for that, we have a little video of exactly what that looks like. So as we play this out, essentially the ball goes out of bounds on a shot, the ball is picked up, Penn brings it in on the field, and notice that the Yale player, the Yale defenseman, was playing that player, and so he would get a penalty here. Now, you see the ref throw the flag, the call, let's see what motion he makes. He makes a, let's see. I want to say it's a legal procedure. It should be a legal procedure. Let's see what he does. Technical foul, legal procedure. Okay, so he was basically too close to him as he came in out of bounds. Excuse me. Okay, so that's what the rule will look like. So now to clarify on this rule, in this event, when he is coming off the end line and they're close together, it makes sense that the defenseman is responsible. Now, if the defenseman stays behind him, so right here, the whistle blows, he's going into play. If the defenseman does not play him and basically allows him to move ahead until the Penn player has passed 5 yards, that is not a penalty. And so essentially, defensemen who get caught in that position need to basically just, I don't know if you can run the 5 yards with him or you have to kind of wait there, but basically I'm pretty sure you just can't impede him as he is playing within those 5 yards. It seems pretty simple. It seems pretty, I mean, it makes sense, but so that's the big rule that's kind of coming in this year. Let's see. Now, I don't believe there's any other big rule things that, I mean, the shoulder pads ones I get, but it seems to be like the worst time for that kind of rule with the PLL now doing, so the PLL is now having players that don't even really wear pads, and so we're going to mandate that high school players have to wear shoulder pads that meet a specific specification, which means every single player is going to have to buy brand new shoulder pads in 2021. Yet, when the rule is announced, no players in the PLL are actually wearing shoulder pads. I don't know. It just, I get the idea of protecting the kids on another level. Anytime I played in high school, it was very small shoulder pads. I hated pads. And I mean, it was kind of weird because back then I used to think I was cool because I didn't have the shoulders or the bicep pads. But now I see kids who don't have bicep pads who can't take a cross check all game, and then they end up being bad in the fourth quarter because, you know, they've been beaten on the whole time and they could have padded up, but they don't. I don't know. It's an interesting thing with the rules. It seems almost like a money grab for Noxie from me, but that kind of just is what it is. Anything else? Let's see. What are the other? The other one is just the stick penalty. I think that's a great way to simplify the rule. If you're playing with a 2 deep pocket, it's 2 minutes. If your head does not meet specifications, it's a 2-minute non-releasable penalty. And the fact that you can fix it, I really like that. So it should make things a lot more streamlined in that area. And that's basically about it. So I hope that this helped. I hope that I kind of got in and through things relatively quickly. And you guys will be ready to go for spring of 2020. Cool thing about Colorado is that we will be running with 2020 rules, fall of 2019 in the DLC League if you're playing in that. So that'll be a good way to do that. They at least do that typically pretty much year to year. So that's pretty exciting from my point of view. Well, thank you guys for hopping on the stream. I got to hop off. I got to go eat dinner. But so thank you guys for hopping on. Have a good one. I will see you guys in the next video.